He is amazing. He's a musician, mixer, producer. He also does mastering. He's just fantastic, and it's a pleasure to have a quick chat with him. I'm sure there are a lot of good things we could learn from him and his journey. Hi, Michael.
Hi,
How are you?
Thank you.
What are you up to, man? What's going on these days with
I
you?
just moved. Literally spent the last week just putting this room back together.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I had acousticians and stuff come in on Thursday. They put up all the panels, and literally today's day one of being able to actually work again.
I know that you're doing a lot of film, TV series, and commercials as well, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Honestly been a blessing because all of these opportunities, save for one, has come from friends, to be honest with you. I would say the most important thing is getting out there and networking. Because although people say you can network over the internet and that it's possible to build a career on the internet, that is true to a certain point, but I think there's a limitation to that. Truthfully, I think that in order to, I guess, level up, it's to have a circle of friends that are like-minded and that boost each other up. So you remember that I used to own a label called Jigsaw Recordings, I think.
Yes, I do.
One of the artists that used to frequent the label, his name's Scott Gold, and he lives out here in Hollywood. And one day he just had overflow from work. He works a lot in the feature film space, like the straight to TV kind of feature films. We did some like Hallmark movies together, a Lifetime film, a BET original, that kind of thing. He had an overflow because, as you know, budgets got tighter, but timelines shrunk too. He was having to deliver feature films within 3 weeks at times, which normally you would get 8 to 10. So he needed help, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, Michael, do you know how to do this stuff?" And luckily, he's like, "I think I remember you went to film school." I go, yeah, I could do it. So he brought me in. And with him bringing me in and then posting like, "Hey, I worked on this film and whatnot," another friend of mine from San Jose, his name's Eden Pavali, he started bringing me commercials. He's like, "Hey, I need help on this Nike commercial. I did the music, but it's not sounding right. Can you help me mix it?" Great. Sure. Now that I had that Nike commercial, all of a sudden other people started coming in. "Hey, I didn't know you do that. Can you help me on this commercial? Can you help me on that commercial?" So I would say the key would be but the key is to have your skill set ready for the call. But I think in order to get the call, unless it's a miracle that comes out of nowhere, I think you need friends. You need friends that are generous with opportunities and not gatekeepers, and are willing to bring you in when they need help. And that's how I got my foot in the door. It was because friends reached out to me and needed help, and I did a good job, thankfully. So I got more opportunities out of that.
Networking is everything. And did you know that different generations network differently? For example, we really like to do emails and speak to each other in person.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's our preferred way of communication. There are different generations, like the newer generations, they rather text. Everybody communicates differently when it comes to networking.
Yeah.
You are saying that through communication, through finding friends, you went out there and said, "Hey, Michael Badal exists. Check out my work," right? And your work was great.
Because of my two friends that had me build up this portfolio over the last couple of years, I saw a composer was looking for a scoring mixer. What was funny was I had just gotten this SSL setup. So I know you can't see it, but in front of me I have 3 controllers. They're UF8, UC1, and UF1.
Wow.
I just gotten these.
Those are nice.
Basically, I wanted a console, but I obviously can't afford a console, so I built one basically in parts. And it's all genuine SSL too. That's the funny part. I had these controllers, and his ad literally was, "I need someone that works in Logic," which I can, And actually, I'm more native to Logic than anything else. So I need someone that works in Logic. I need someone that knows the SSL ecosystem and has these controllers. And I need someone who can mix music for film and television and is like ready to work. I go, yeah, that's me. So he gave me a test mix. I sent it in. He liked it. And he was like, see if I could find other candidates so I could compare. So a couple weeks went by. I came back to him and I go, hey, I'm just checking in, seeing what you thought of the other candidates. Like, what did you think of my mix? And he couldn't find anybody else that had the same parameters. And he liked my mixing. So we started working together. And over the process, it seemed like we just gelled really well together too. So we had a really good working relationship. We built this workflow. I honestly think it's fantastic. And I think more composers would like that kind of a workflow. Whereas, for instance, I guess to elaborate on that, the problem he was trying to solve was he was tired. He needed a scoring mixer, but he was tired of having to export stems and have these scoring mixers who primarily work in Pro Tools having to take WAV files from Logic, import them into Pro Tools, have them do the mix, send them back, and then if he had changes, having to send, because obviously after that, the producers have to give their notes, right? So then after he does his notes, now he has to send a new set of stems back to the mixer. He has to do the work and charge revisions and all of that. And that process was exhausting. He was trying to solve that. So together what we did was we built a Logic template where after he's done, he prints his groups up the chain. I mix there, and then we do the deliverables up the chain again. But the great thing is if the producer comes out and says, hey, I didn't really like that instrument, can you change it to this? Well, my mix is already there. All he has to do is open up the session, do his changes, and then print all the way back up the chain again without ever calling me.
I think to me, at the end of the day, whoever you're working with, they're your buyers. They're people who came to your shop and they want to shop from you, right? So you want to make buying from you easy.
I agree with you. Essentially, if you put too many parameters up for somebody to do business with you, you're not going to get business.
Make it in a way that it's easy to work with you.
You know, when I was researching some other people that do what I do, their websites were really nice and stuff like that. Like, for instance, one of them had how to submit your files. It was like a 12-page long document. And so you have to name them this way. They have to be this bit rate and this yada yada yada. There's been times where somebody on the composing team sent in the wrong sample rate by accident. He was working on something else and it was in 44.1, and obviously in film we need to be in 48, and he sent it in 44.1. Anybody else probably would have been like, I can't do that. Go ahead and you got to re-export. Sorry, man. But I literally just opened up a batch converter, converted all of his stuff to 48, and we're fine. It's synced, and
You went out of your way. You made it easy for them to get the work happening, right?
Yeah.
So, dude, that's so important. Your client could go and use AI.
Yeah.
They could do right now. They could do the job that we do right now. A lot of people could. They could just whatever they want to do it. They could do it. However, they want your taste. They want your point of view. And they basically need that extra hand to get the job done. What do you think of AI stuff, man?
I really am enjoying the tools. I don't like the concept of racing to the finish line to replace people, because my view of it is AI should be handling the things that you don't want to do so that you could do the things you want to do. I would love AI to open up my Logic sessions and conform it to the settings that I want. Like what I was saying, like when the composers send in their Logic sessions, there's times that they've muted things that I don't want muted, or like, I would love AI to be like, oh, you know what? Michael doesn't like those muted, so let me unmute those. And now I'm ready to mix. I don't want you to do the mixing for me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the singing and the songwriting.
That's the fun part. Why are you sucking the fun out of it? Or why don't you do my taxes? Why don't you, you know what I mean? Why don't you do the scheduling or the lead generation or whatever? Go find me the business. But why are you taking the fun part out of it? Like, I like doing this. Like, this is what I wake up to do for it. So that's
I
my view
know.
of AI. I don't think it's an enemy. I think the people that are creating AI in order to replace people, I don't even think they're doing it in a malicious way. I'm trying to think like a tech guy. It's look how cool my technology can be. But it's like, okay, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And at the same time, there's so many other things that you can be focusing your attention on to make life easier so that we can do more of these fun things like mixing, like motion graphics, like art, like it could be more time at the gym, more time, whatever it is.
It's your point of view that people like. And the point of view of everybody is not as tasteful.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
There are some things that I'm not good at. My taste is terrible, and certain things, those are not the stuff that people pay for to buy from me. So I think that should still be there. Will stay there. Don't you think? It's not gonna go away.
I just recently learned of this term because I had never heard it before, but uncanny valley. It's almost if in Gen Z is actually really good at detecting this. I think millennials and older, I think it's a little harder for us. But the thing that AI misses is that human component. So for us, we might be like wowed by it because it's just so good. But Gen Zers and younger, they can see it and hear it instantly. It's literally like Coraline or like the Stepford Wives. It's like you're seeing it. It has all the parts it's supposed to have. It looks the way it should look, but it feels off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are moments that you could catch the AI doing something that a human would not
Wouldn't
do,
really
or
do.
it sounds like a glitch, or
Yeah.
maybe the autotune went nuts, for a second. Was that a
Yeah.
glitch? Was that an effect of some sort? I think people could go two ways and kind of accept that as part of the sound. Remember, like when Cher turned up autotune all the way up,
Yeah.
and then after a while, it became the norm. Like we got to T-Pain, which the whole thing, it was just like so up high.
And the funny thing is these people could sing. They were just using it as an effect. Like T-Pain could sing his butt off, but yeah, it just became a sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it became the norm. Like you need to do that. Like whoever went to a studio to record, they asked for autotune in their headphones.
Yeah, that I don't get. That's
I
the
don't
part
get it.
where I'm like,
how
I
many
don't get
times
it.
have we went over this? Like, hey, dude, if you are putting autotune in your headphones while you're recording, you're degrading your performance.
Literally. Yeah.
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 I think we all know that number of uploads to Spotify per day.
It's about 100,000 songs a day now. Yeah. So you're basically having to compete. You're basically a drop of water in a maelstrom.
The
Yeah.
market is saturated like crazy.
But that's why this is the thing that cracks me up when musicians and artists, on one hand, they go, the industry's full of gatekeepers. I don't think you should gatekeep knowledge, but I do think there should be some sort of gatekeeping when it comes to industry. And that gatekeeping, I think, is a misuse of the word standards. I think there should be standards. I don't think that's a gatekeep. There should be a standard of quality before you enter the room or the industry or whatever.
I totally agree with you.
That's the thing that this newer generation is like, oh, he's a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper. It's not about gatekeeping because
Yes.
there's so much supply now. You got to think about it in terms of economics. There's 100,000 songs coming out a day, right? Why should Netflix pay you $50,000 to use your song? Why should a commercial pay you $400,000 to license your song?
Yeah.
If not you, I've got 100,000 more just today. Do you see what I'm saying? Music is actively being devalued because there's so much of it.
In order to sell products, one of the easiest way to tell a story is, hey, you can be creative. People are not going toward the health care industry. You're not advising people to become lawyers.
It's because there's a glitz and glamour to it, even though what we do, you know it, I know it, people, others that do what we do know it. There's times where we don't get to we don't get to have our weekends or our 9 to 5s sometimes. Depending on the client, depending on the project, we're working 16, 18 hours a day. And I think that's where the disconnect is, that people see he works in a studio, or oh, they're an artist, or blah, blah, blah. Like Taylor Swift. I don't think I could survive a day in her shoes. You know what I mean? Regardless of what you think of her music, she's a businesswoman, and she's up from the minute she wakes up till the time she goes to sleep. It's work.
So as a musician, producer, songwriter, besides doing music, what are other things that you do, Michael?
I'm a social media manager. I'm a publisher. I'm a sometimes graphic designer if I can't afford to hire someone that actually knows what they're doing. I'm a mix engineer, a mastering engineer, PR person, I a bookkeeper, business manager, whatever you wanna add.
I'm also the plumber here. I wash the dishes. So what's next for you, Michael?
Right now, I'm working on the Equalizer season 5. I started season 4, so now I'm on season 5. You're gonna see the Night Agent season 2 come out in January. I already mixed that, and we're already confirmed to do a season 3. I think that's it. I'm hoping that Equalizer gets renewed for a season 6.
Guys, if you haven't checked out Michael's IMDb, go check it out. He is just building up a good portfolio.
Thanks, man.
Wow.
Thank
The
you.
Kiss List, Love and Murder, The Resurrection of Charles Manson. Just going down the list, there's a lot. Oh, you did a Christmas one. Christmas
A couple
Thief.
of them. Yeah, Christmas Thief, Christmas Witness, and Merry Kiss Cam.
It's always a pleasure speaking with you, man. I don't get enough of it. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's been great. Hopefully, we could do this kind of quick chats more often.
I'd love that. You know you can call me anytime.
You know I will, and I will annoy you.
Good. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Maybe till next time.